Hello, welcome to the Loop and Bar podcast. I am Kate and I'm coming to you from North Wales in the UK. This is episode 14 of the podcast and I've got a few lovely things to share with you today. This could be a little bit of a shorter one because I'm just looking what I've got to show you. I've got some acquisitions. I've got a finished knitted object and a whip, and I've mainly been doing lots of sewing this week, but I'm not, well, I can sort of show you a little bit of that. Actually, one of them's a whip, so I'll definitely show you one of those. It's Sunday today, and I was working yesterday all day. I don't normally work on a Saturday, so that was okay because it was very rainy for the whole of the day yesterday, and I didn't mind one bit that I was at work. Avion was working as well, and I'm just filling in a little bit on Saturdays at the moment because we've one of our lovely members of staff has left, so just for a few Saturdays I'll probably help out, which means that at the moment Sunday is really my only sort of full day off. So it was a real lovely treat to wake up this morning and have beautiful golden sunlight coming in through the window. I woke up to see Charlie looking out the bedroom window, watching the cows go past, which is so sweet. I wished I got a video of it actually. I didn't because my phone was somewhere else. But I probably will try to do that because it looks really sweet. She sits at the window and it's a low bedroom window, so she sits and watches them just walking past as they're going on the way to milking. Well, coming back actually from milking. So it's been a lovely day, lovely morning. It is 3:30 in the afternoon. Avion's gone out to do a bit of milking, well, a lot of milking. The tractor's going past. That'll be somebody else on the tractor. I've been helping a little bit. I've just finished helping Avion to get the cows up out of the field, which took us a little bit of time because they were really comfy. They were in a lovely field full of loads of lovely lush grass, and they had chomped their way through it all and were just laying in the sunshine, and they just didn't feel like getting up and walking to the milking parlour. So I went with Avion and we just had to gee them up a bit. And encourage them to come out of the paddock and start walking. So that was a bit of my farming work today. I've been doing a little bit of gardening as well. Well, sorting out the greenhouse, and Charlie's been helping me. She's down here. She's fast asleep. She's really tired because we've been busy all morning. So she's having a little sleep now. And we've still got lots of lovely sunshine coming in through the window, so it's just a lovely day. It's a perfect autumn day. It's actually really warm in the sunshine, but it's really fresh outside as well, which is perfect autumn weather. And Avion told me that when he got up this morning, it was 3 degrees, so which is pretty chilly, but it's warmed up a lot. The sunshine's warmed up the outside, but it's chilly at night, so it's definitely autumn. We've got our winter duvet on the bed now. I've swapped the lightweight summer duvet for the big heavy duty squishy feather down duvet, so that's been lovely and cosy using that. And we lit the fire for the first time last night, for the first time it won't be the first time this year because we would have had it on at the beginning of the year, but it's the first time at this end of the year. So the first time after the summer of not having the fire on. I came home from work and Avion had got the fire going and it was gorgeous. So we'll have the fire on again tonight. And me and Charlie, we just lay in front of the fire. It's a wood burner, a log burning stove that we've got. And of course Poldark is on, so I shall be watching Poldark, knitting and just soaking up the lovely fire. So that'll be lovely. Right. I I'm having a bit of trouble with my sinuses today, so if I look like I can't breathe, I think I've said this in the podcast before, but if I look as if I'm not breathing very well, it's because I'm not. I've got like swollen sinuses again today and a bit of a poorly tooth. So I'm feeling a little bit, I'm okay, I'm not feeling ill or anything, but I feel a bit sorry for myself. I meant to put, I've got the most brilliant Bonjela. I'm sure everybody's heard of it. You might not if you're not in the UK. But it's just a gel that you get from the pharmacy or the chemist. And if you've got an ulcer or a sore tooth or something like that, it's just this gel that you put on and it's brilliant. And I really, now I'm talking about it, I really wish that I put some on before I started the podcast, because it would have probably been a little bit more comfortable to talk. But it's a bit sore here, so I don't know. You might notice that. Hopefully that'll ease off by itself over the next couple of days. If not, I'll have to go to the dentist, which I don't think I'm going to talk about because I don't like the dentist, so wish me luck with that one. Fingers crossed it settles down and it's okay in the next couple of days. I am going to dive in with my finished object because I'm so proud of this and I can't wait to show you. I have actually been wearing this, but I only blocked it this morning, so I finished it a few days ago. I have been wearing it at work and it's perfect, love it. But it looks even more beautiful now that I've blocked it. I've woven in all the ends, so it is a truly, truly finished object, and it's the cowl that I've been knitting for the Cozy Autumn Along Cal that myself and Antonella are hosting over on Ravelry, and it's one of my projects that I was knitting especially for that Cal. So I'm knitting it with this lovely yarn that Antonella sent to me from Canada, from one of her local yarn stores. It's beautiful alpaca yarn. And I was contacted as well on, well, she's actually a member of the Ravelry group by the lady who owns the yarn store, because I'd got a bit mixed up about where the yarn came from. But that was really exciting to hear from the person where the yarn came from as well, who Antonella bought the yarn from, so that was really cool. And this is the cowl. Now, this is the size I intended to make it, because that's a cowl sort of size. But this is the size that, I don't know how this happened, but this is the size that it turned out to be. That's how good my maths is. I did a gauge swatch, which is, it was on here, it was on my desk until, and now, oh, here it is. Yeah, actually, looking at the gauge swatch, that's how big the gauge swatch was. Maybe I should have done a gauge more like that size, and then I would have had a bit more of an accurate, and actually I didn't block it either. So that's not very good knitting practice, is it? And that's how you end up with a cowl that is actually more like a scarf. Actually, I've knitted a scarf, haven't I? Because if I hadn't have joined this, it literally would be a scarf. It's as, yeah, I've actually just knitted a big tube, big scarf. But I totally, totally love it. I did know a few rows into this, once I'd got it off the tiny bunched up needle that it was on, and onto a larger needle, of course I knew how big this was turning out. But you never really know how sort of big something's going to be until you've cast it off and blocked it and tried it on. And so, yes, it's really, really long. But I love it and I can still wear it. And there's a few ways I can wear it actually. I did consider, I'll do you a close-up in a second, I did consider attaching buttons like that, so I could just wear it like that, which could actually still work quite nicely, and having it double. I could wear it, I just tried this out before the podcast, I was trying out different ways to wear this. Oh, hang on, I suppose I could wear it, oops, like that, like a bit of a scarf, which actually works really well as well. That does work quite well. But it doesn't show off the lovely stitch pattern. But it still works. Keeps me warm. But the main point that I wanted, the main reason why I wanted a cowl was so I had something to wear that wasn't dangling, like a scarf will dangle and get in the way, so I can wear it at home or at work and it won't get in the way of the things that I'm trying to do, of sort of any work that I'm trying to get on with. So I want to wear it as a cowl. I'll just show you a close-up, then I'll put it on. So, oh, how do I do this? There you go, there's a lovely close-up. Oh, the light's changing. Well, let me do that and then it won't be yellow anymore. It's doing that funny thing. Wonder how close I can get before it starts changing colour. There you go. Look how it changes the colour. Anyway, that's the true colour. That's the colour that it is. When I try and show you a close-up, it just makes it go all sort of a grey, weird colour. Anyway, so yeah, it's doing it again. So I'm going to struggle to show you the stitch pattern here, but I think I might put a photograph of it in here. Just so that you can see a really nice close-up of the stitch pattern, because it's really beautiful. And it's I've made the pattern up, sort of. It's only half made up by myself. The lace pattern I didn't make up. It's a 10 stitch, I can't remember how many rows it is, but it's a 10 stitch lace repeat over a certain amount of rows. And it came with the, sorry, I'm just trying to think how to say this. The lace pattern came from, I'll edit that out. Right, I'll start again. So the lace pattern comes from a chart that is with the baby chalice blanket, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, free to download. So I basically just took the portion of lace, the 10 stitch repeat, and measured how big I wanted my cowl, which was just enough to go around my neck, did a gauge, did some calculations, and then cast on 280 stitches and ended up with a scarf. So what that tells me is that I can't do maths or I can't measure, which one or the other, because really I only needed that much, didn't I? I literally only needed it to be like that. That is what I was actually aiming at getting, something that wide. So it's actually more than double. I don't know why I didn't actually start it again either. But this is how I'm going to wear it. Oh, it's got a garter stitch. So a few rows of garter stitch. I'm really not being very articulate today. Few rows of garter stitch, and then the lace, 2 full lace repeats, and more garter stitch, and that's it. That's all it consists of. And this is how I wear it, and I really, really love it. I love the slouchiness of it actually, and I love the fact that you can still see the stitch repeat when I wear it like this. I love the fact that it's loose as well. It's not gonna, but I could sort of, if I had a coat on, I could, you know, zip it up and make it really cozy. But I really like the way that it's loose, because especially often when I'm walking around the farm, I get up a hill, halfway up a hill, and I start to feel quite hot. So the fact that it's quite loose is still going to keep me warm, but it's not going to sort of stifle me, which is brilliant. Again, that's quite nice for work really as well, because if you've got this on indoors, you just need something to keep the chill off the back of your neck. You don't necessarily need a great big scarf all bunched up around your neck, so it's actually perfect. I love it. I love it. It's really soft. It feels really soft and lovely. So, whoops. So that's the yarn that Antonella sent me, and I've got this much left. I did use some of the second skein. I had 2 skeins of yarn, and I've got that much left. So I'm wondering, I don't know if that's a hat's worth. I could probably get mittens out of it. I don't know if I could get a hat out of that. I'm not sure. I'll have to weigh it and have a look at some patterns. I'll have to have a little think about that. Or I could get Maybe my sister would really love this colour. She loves blue. She would absolutely love that colour, and that would really suit her. So possibly I could knit her a cowl, but it would be the right size cowl. Now that I've got a giant sample, I can actually work out the most accurate amount of stitches to cast on. So maybe I could do that for my sister, maybe for Christmas. Oh, maybe she's watching. Anna, if you're watching, forget I said that. Or, do you like this? Hopefully you do, because you might be getting a cowl for Christmas in it, like that one. Oh well, I'm sure. I don't think it'll matter that she's seen that. She might not have got round to watching up to episode 14 yet, so. Anyway, I'm really pleased with that. I don't know if I've said everything that I wanted to say about it. I just actually, now that I've showed it, I can't really quite believe how long it is. I just don't know how I got that calculation so wrong, but it's okay. I'm very happy. I'm really happy with the cowl. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Not changing it, not frogging it. Love the way it doubles over and drapes. And I knew that from the beginning. Well, not from the very beginning, but I knew it from early on in the project. So, but I do not know how I managed to get that calculation so wrong. So yeah, that's a bit worrying. But I think what I might do, yes, is knit another one. Maybe I'll put the pattern out there. Oh, sorry, I've got something fluffy in my eye from the cowl. I'll just have a little drink. I've got some red bush tea in my Rob Ryan Listen to the World mug, which Avion's sister bought me. Is that what it says on that side? Yeah. A couple of years ago for my birthday. Okay. Right, now what shall I show you next? I will show you an acquisition, because I've got some sewing and one more bit of knitting, and then I've got some yarny things to show you as well. So this is nothing to do with knitting, this is to do with my gardening course. I started my gardening course 2 weeks ago, so I've done 2 weeks so far, and I'll be going there tomorrow, so Monday is my day of gardening. I have to drive for an hour and a half to get there, but it was the only college, it was the nearest college that offered the RHS course, which is the course that I wanted to go on. I'm really loving it so far, and I think the weather's going to be good tomorrow, so I think we're going to get to start digging on our vegetable plots, which is very exciting. I can't wait to start digging. And the other thing that we've got to do tomorrow is have a test. We have to learn Latin plant names, and I've been given, last week we were given 10, which it's a really nice exercise actually in the classroom. We do some of the work in the classroom, and the teacher, Anne, who's a really lovely lady, she shows us 10 real specimens that she's taken out of the garden or out of the ground. So, you know, just some flowers in a jar or whatever, part of the plant that's in some water in a jar. And she goes through each one of them. She lets us know the Latin name, and it's all written on the board, and we have to copy it down. We've got to get the spellings right and make sure we are allowed to write them in capitals, but if we can, we need to try to write them with the right uppercase and lowercase, because that's an important part of knowing which part of the name that word is. Anyway, so I've tried my best to try and memorise all 10, and we have to have memorised a certain amount by the end of the course, and it ends in June. So we get tested on 10 every week, maybe a few more. And so she gives you the 10 one week, and then the following week we have a little test to see how we get on. She's so nice, and she said not to worry about it. We won't get all of them right in the first go. Some people might get 10 out of 10, some people might get 2 or 3 out of 10, because it is really hard. Latin names are really hard. They're very hard to say, and they're very hard to try and spell and remember. So, but I've been testing myself while I've been at work if it's been very quiet. And I made up a little system, because the Latin names have got at least 2 parts to them. And I wrote down each part on a separate piece of paper. So, for example, one of them is Verbena bonariensis. So I wrote Verbena on one piece of paper and bonariensis on another piece of paper. And I did that for all of them. So I had probably 22 pieces of paper because some of them have 3 parts to the name. And then I sort of jumbled them all up, and then I would pick up one piece of paper and read it, and then I would have to write down on my little sheet the full name. So if I had picked up the word bonariensis, I would have to remember that Verbena came before it. That is my method. I'm very pleased I've stumbled across that method, because I think that's maybe the only way that I'm going to be able to learn them. So I did that. It's like playing a game, really. It's a bit like playing the game pairs in a way. So I did that a few times, and then yesterday at work I just wrote the list out without even looking at the cards. And then last night, while we're eating our tea, I told Avion all of the 10 names, and I'm pretty sure I remembered them all correctly without any sort of prompts. And I can remember what the plants look like as well. So I'm really hoping that tomorrow when we have our test, I'm going to remember them all, because I might be a little bit nervous, even though it's nothing to be nervous about. But I bought this as well to help me, because there are explanations to the Latin plant names. Sometimes part of the name might indicate the country that it was originally found in, or it could be something to do with the person who discovered the plant and named it. It could be, the Latin name could be a word that describes a tactile quality, like something we learnt was Alchemilla mollis. If I remember correctly, mollis means soft, and the leaves of the Alchemilla mollis are really, really soft to touch. They're like furry underneath. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, which I do find it quite interesting, especially because we've got to learn the Latin names, this is reading up a little bit about that is probably going to help me to try and remember them a little bit more as well. So I bought this book off Amazon, and it's just gorgeous. It's called A Gardener's Latin. It's a really, really beautiful book. I mean, just to look at, it's gorgeous. I'd just put it on my wall, probably like that, like in a frame. It's just a really pretty looking book anyway. And it's by Richard Bird. And I didn't realise at the time, but it's a National Trust book, so it's going to look pretty, isn't it? And I'll just show you a little example of what's inside. So it's sort of broken into categories, so but I just think the illustrations are gorgeous as well. And it smells, I think I've said this before in the podcast, but I really love smelling books. Habitat Open Land is another little. I just think they're really pretty. Obviously I'm going to read it, I'm not just going to look through at the pictures. But it's just a lovely, oh yeah, and I think there's some explanations there, and then there's some lists of examples of some of the Latin names that sort of fall into that explanation as well. So far I haven't really read very much. I've only read the first little couple of pages, but I'm planning on sitting in a nice sunny corner with a cup of tea at some point and reading through that book. So it's not one I'm going to read in the bath, because I do not want to get this steamy or drop it in the bath. I'm going to keep this nice and safe. So that's my Gardener's Latin book. So that's my acquisition to help me with my gardening course. I might get another couple of books as we go along, but that was kind of, the teacher recommended that we get one at the library, possibly, or if we want to buy one, we can do a book that helped you to remember Latin names. So, and it helps that it's a really pretty book too. Oh, what else should I do? Oh yeah, I'm going to show you one of my whips. Sounds a bit weird, that. I am going to show you my sewing whip. I actually thought that I might have this finished, but then I got busy this morning doing things with guinea pigs. So I'm going to show you it as a whip, which is quite nice really, because then I get to show you it as a finished object next time. I'm pretty sure I'll probably finish this later on this afternoon. A little while ago, Antonella sent me, Antonella of the Antonella Makes podcast, a very, very good friend of mine, lovely friend of mine, who's in Canada. As you probably know, if you watch this podcast, Antonella and I did a swap a little while ago. And then she very, very naughtily sent me another package after the swap, which was amazing, and it had the most lovely things in it, absolutely beautiful things, including the second skein of that blue yarn that I've showed you, and some fabric. She sent me some more fabric, and a few days ago I made a bag for mine and Avion's niece, Thea. She is turning 8 tomorrow, and so I thought, oh, I need to make her a present. And I quickly had a look on my Pinterest, because I've got all sorts of boards on Pinterest, and I just pin loads of stuff on things that I think would be nice to make, even if I don't quite know who for or when I would make them. And it comes in really handy when you need to either buy or make a birthday present, because it just gives you loads of good ideas. So, and on there was a pattern that I'd pinned for a slouch bag. And I thought it looked really perfect for an 8-year-old. Maybe she would use it for, I don't know, if she's going for a sleepover. She's probably old enough to do that now. I know she goes dancing, if she goes swimming, or if she sleeps over at Nine and Tides, which she does. That's her grandma and granddad. So I thought, yes, I'll make her that. And I went to the fabric shop, and I quickly popped there in my lunch hour, which was really handy. And I spent quite a while choosing some really nice fabric, 2 contrasting fabrics, especially for a little girl who's 8, but not too childish, but something that a little girl would really like as well. And I'm really pleased with the fabric that I chose. I'll grab it, because I can't show you the bag. I can show you a picture of the bag, actually. I'll insert a picture of the bag here. And this is the fabric. Ooh. So it's a reversible bag, by the way. So I wanted 2 fabrics, contrasting, but obviously that go together really well. And that would look good as a bag on their own as well, because she might want to use it one way or another, both ways. So I got that one and that one. So I don't think I know what the make of this fabric is. If it's any selvage. I haven't got any selvage left, so no. I'm sorry, I can't tell you. But that's one fabric, which I just thought was really, really lovely. And it really did. When I looked at it, I just thought Thea would probably really like those colours and that pattern. It just really sort of called out to me. And then this just went really beautifully as the lining. This is a Tilda fabric. And it's very similar to the one that Antonella sent me. It's very similar, it's just the difference is that it's got different colours in the little flowers. So that made a lovely bag. Hopefully you've seen a picture of it. It was quite big, but I thought, excuse me, I just paused so that I could go and put some Bonjela on my poorly tooth. So I'm back now, I feel a bit better. I might be swallowing a bit. But I was saying about the bag that I made for Thea. The original pattern, when you download it, it's a free pattern, would have fitted onto an A4 sheet. So that would have been half of the bag front. And that actually, in hindsight, would have been perfectly big enough. For some reason, I thought it wasn't going to be big enough. So I basically just copied the shape of the pattern onto some of my pattern cutting paper and made it bigger. And so when I cut all of those shapes out and started to sew the bag up, I started to think the bag was really big, a bit big for an 8-year-old. She could probably get in it, actually. No, it wasn't that big, but anyway. it was going to look quite large in proportion to an 8-year-old girl. So I was a bit worried that I was making her a bag that was too big for her. I had a couple of options. I didn't have enough of the fabric left over to make a small one and maybe keep the big one for myself. So the only other thing I could do was give it really big, or cut another, the original size of the pattern out of the bag that I'd already started making. And I kind of was on the verge of doing that when I had my scissors poised over the bag, and then I just thought, I can't do it. I couldn't cut into the fabric because the bag had already taken shape. I just couldn't bring myself to do it because I think that there would have been, well, not I don't think, I know that there would have been quite a lot of waste of that lovely fabric as well if I'd have done that. So I just had another little look at it, and then I kind of got a brainwave. I decided to, by putting a pleat in the top, and you'll see what I mean when I show you the shape of the bag, the second one that I've started making, it made the whole bag appear to be smaller, but actually it's not. It's got the same volume, but it looks a bit smaller. So I just put like a little box pleat in the top, which again, you've probably seen that on the picture. And it just made the top bit smaller, but still there's still lots of room for it to put everything in it. So that I was really pleased with that. That really worked out very well, and I really loved the pleat. It made the bag even nicer than it already was. Tractors going past, don't know if you can hear that, sorry about the noise. Anyway, I love the bag so much that I'm actually making myself one. And to get back to what I was telling you before, Antonella had sent me some beautiful fabric. I showed you some fabric and I made, oh, it's actually there. That's the bag I made with the fabric that Antonella originally sent me. And it's quite whimsical, and it's got like, well, you'll see the pattern in a minute. I love the pattern, and she said that she wished she'd sent me some in the green, and then sent me some in the green. And I've cut the shape of the bag out, and she also sent me some other fabric with it as well. I don't know if she intended me to use them together or not, but they look fabulous together. So one is going to be the outer of the bag and the other is going to be the lining, but they could be reversible as well. So whether you knew this or not, Antonella, these two fabrics look really good together. So this will be, let me just do it this way so I can sort of reveal the back of it. That's going to be the front of it. I love it so much. So that's going to be the front of the bag. Now this is the shape of the bag without the pleat, but I'll show you that in a second. And oops. When I say the front, what I mean is the outside of it, because that'll be the front and the back. And there's a doggy on both sides, which is fabulous. And he's right in the middle, looking really proud, look. Absolutely brilliant, I love it. And he's just a little bit to the side there. So that's going to be the outside of the bag. And it has like, the bag has like a gusset all around the bottom, and then it's just got a big strap, sort of an over-the-shoulder strap. So I haven't cut those pieces out yet, but you'll see that next week when I've finished it. And then this is going to be the inner, the lining for it, which is perfect. It's beautiful. The colours just go absolutely perfectly together. If I just fold them, let me show you them this way. Oops. It's like they were meant to be together. So that's my bag pieces. The only thing is, I didn't have enough of either of these to make the bottom gusset. I suppose I've got the option of actually not putting a gusset in. I could just stitch it, but no, it is really nice with the gusset. Oh, I'll show. So I've got the choice of either. I've got some of this left over from Chia's bag, or I've got this that Antonella also sent me in the first package. I think that does actually go quite nicely. It will go along the bottom of the bag, if you can imagine, like that. There'll be a little sort of, there's no other word for it, it's a gusset. You'll see when it's made. I think that actually would look really nice, because the colours that are, the bright colours that are popping out on here are actually pinks and oranges, and those are the exact colours of this fabric. So I think that goes a little little tiny marginally bit better than that. And also the print on this one is more similar in sort of style and size. So I think that's going to be the bottom, make up the bottom gusset and the strap to the bag. So I think that'll look really, really nice. But you'll see on the next podcast if that's definitely what I went with. I think it will be. Can't wait to show you. Oh, the pleat. So the bag really, the intention of the pattern was that the bag will come out this shape with a strap on it as well. But like I was saying, I wanted to make it appear smaller for Leah. So what I did was, if I can just, don't know if I can do a quick, this is probably, it won't be on centre or anything and it's a bit big, but I kind of created a pleat, a box pleat. Oh, no, you can't see it. Oh, you'll have seen it on the picture anyway, but the box pleat goes in the middle there, so it makes the bag appear to be slightly smaller than it is, but you can still fit just as much stuff in it. So I can't wait to have that as a bag. It's so, so, so pretty. I love it, and I love that little jaunty dog. He looks so proud of himself, doesn't he? A little close-up of the dog. Looks like, mate, she looks like, it could be a she, couldn't it? Can't tell, it's probably a little girl. It's like Mabel off So Sweet Violets podcast. Mabel, her doggy. So that's my sewing work in progress, and I have been making bags for the Etsy shop that is coming. I'll show you the pile. Whoops. So I suppose these are works in progress. I've got to put some straps in them. Straps, is that the right word? Drawstrings. But I've got this done. I've been busy. So I'm hoping, all I really need to do now is pop the drawstrings in, sew them and pop them in. I'm not going to show you those in detail now. I just wanted to show you that I've been working on them. Look, see, bags. There's a few more there ready and waiting to be sewn. And I've been working on things like just getting a little design for a card, and I bought some sticker labels, so I'm hoping to be able to print out my little logo onto stickers, just for packaging, you know, thinking about the packaging side of it. So I'm getting very close, and I went into Etsy. I used to have an Etsy shop. Things have got complicated. I had an Etsy shop. It was under a different label for something else I used to do a long time ago. And so, of course, I want my Etsy shop to be called Loop and Bar because that makes a lot more sense. And it's done the usual thing of I tried to delete my previous account and then create a new account under the shop name of Loop and Bar, but something to do with my email, it recognised my email. I don't know, it got complicated and I'm not entirely sure what stage I'm up to yet, but I've got to go into Etsy and work out how I can get my Loop and Bar shop up and running under my email account as well. I'll get there. Of course, I've got to photograph them also. So I'm just wondering if the weather stays nice for the rest of the week, and I can get the bags finished by Thursday morning, I might be able to photograph them, and then maybe I shall work on, over the weekend, I might be working on getting them actually into the Etsy shop. So possibly by the end of next weekend there will be an Etsy shop, but I think what I'll do is a very quick podcast, even if it's just literally hi, just to let you know the Etsy shop's up and running, and I will let people know on Instagram as well. But I'm hoping, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a deadline. I'm hoping to have that up and running by the end of next weekend, so woo, that's quite exciting. Yeah. Right, I'm going to show you something lovely that I got in the post. I have received some very lovely things in the post. Gifts. So over on Ravelry, I am a member of the Antonella Makes podcast group, and in that group there is a swap going on. It's a very, very small, cute little swap, and I think it's becoming a monthly swap by the look of it. They definitely did an August one. It's called, and now the one I've taken part in is called September Thinking of You. So there was an August thinking of you, a September thinking of you, and I think there are plans for an October thinking of you, because I saw somebody say, is there going to be an October thinking of you? So, and it's one of the Ravelry members, I think it's Seashore Sharon in that group, who has instigated this little swap, and it's fantastic. You just basically say, yes, please, I want to be part of it. And then by a certain date, Sharon collects in all of your names, and then she gives you a partner, and that's the usual way that swaps work. If it's an odd number, or I don't know if it's an odd number, but you are given all the names are in a list, and you send to the person below you, and that person sends to the person below them. So you're not kind of swapping, you're actually just sending something to somebody, and then you'll receive something from someone else, and that's really nice, because you're getting to know two people in one kind of swap, if you know what I mean. So my two swap partners, as it were the person I was sending a parcel to was Tiffany from Knitting from the Mitten. I love that podcast name, it's brilliant. And I've been watching her podcast as well. So hello Tiffany, if you're watching. She got my parcel, which is great. I got a really lovely message on Instagram, and I'm really glad that she liked the things that I sent her. Well, it was just the idea of the swap is you just send a card and a mini skein. It's a tiny little swap, and it's supposed to be something out of your stash, so it's not something that you would get kind of maybe stressed about. It's nothing that you would have to spend money on. Just the postage, that's all. And then if you want to include something else like a little goodies, you can do so. I think I popped a tea bag and a hand cream. No, I don't think. I know I did. But the whole thing was to keep it small, sweet and simple. So I'm really glad that the parcel got to Tiffany and that she liked it, and I'm really enjoying her podcast. So if you haven't seen Knitting from the Mitten, check that one out. She's in Canada. Oh, Canada? No, Michigan. Where's Michigan? I should know that. Is that in America? I really should know that, because I sent a parcel there. Oh, terrible. Anyway, it's overseas. So anyway, check that podcast out. And then the other person that I was paired up with was the person that sent me my little package, and that's Laura, and Tiffany and Laura are both members of the Loop and Bar Ravelry group as well, I believe. In fact, I know they are, because they're in the Cal too. And so we've all been chatting and getting to know each other through the Cal, which has been lovely. Oh, I've forgotten the little shapes that she sent me. I'll just have to tell you about those. But Laura sent me 2 mini skeins, so I'm really, really lucky. And it's so thoughtful, honestly, what she sent me. I've been dying to try out wool, and I don't think I can get it in the UK. I'm not sure. I don't think I can, but I have got some now. So she sent me a little mini skein of wool, and it's gorgeously soft. It's beautiful. It's the most lovely colour. I don't know does it say the colour on here? It is 100% certified organic merino. Looks like a full mini skein. And don't think it says the colourway. She might have said it in the card. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a really beautiful sort of burgundy colour. It's gorgeous. Not sure how well it's showing up. Maybe if I put it back. It's not showing up so brilliantly well because the light isn't very good. The sun's gone away. So anyway, but it's a really beautiful, rich burgundy colour. I don't know why I'm turning it this way, and that's not going to change the way that you're going to see it. And it's a fingering weight, I believe. So, what's it say on it? It looks a fingering weight. Yeah, it is a wash fingering. So possibly that can go into my blanket, or it could become something else. I'm not sure. It's so soft. I love it. So I'm just treasuring it for now. And then the other colour she sent me, and I don't know if she knew this, but I've been hearing people talking about knit picks, and this is another one. I didn't think I could get knit picks in the UK, but it turns out I think you can, because I've got a friend who I've since asked, and she said she does get it. Or does she, from the UK? She orders it from the Knit Picks website. Don't even know if that's in the UK. Anyway, I've wanted to try knit picks because everybody talks about it. And Laura sent me this, and this is a hand-dyed skein. So it's 100% wool, and it's Knit Picks palette. Oh, hang on a minute. No, it's 23 yoke. Oh yeah, it is. Dyed with onion skin, with a mordant of vinegar. Oh, hang on. So Laura, did you actually dye this? Knit Picks palette, 23 yoke. Because that makes me think, or maybe she over-dyed it. I'm pretty sure it's hand-dyed, because I think that's what she said in the card. Experiment. Yes, it's hand-dyed by Laura onto Knit Picks yarn. It's really, really gorgeous. But I'm a bit confused as why it says yoke and then it says onion skin. Laura, did you over-dye? We'll see, but it's a beautiful, beautiful colour. They actually go really nicely together. Whoops, and they're very, very autumny, which is very fitting because we're taking part in the Cozy Autumn Along. And it's now October, although this was a September Thinking of You swap. She sent me 2 lovely tea bags. I haven't tried them yet. I'm going to try that one after the podcast. And actually, this is brilliant because it's called Breathe Easy. It's just exactly what I need today. That's perfect. I'm having that after the podcast. And then Snore in Peace. Is that on the licorice one? Oh no, organic chamomile, lemon balm and lavender. Ooh, that sounds lovely. So that's a before bed one. So definitely going to enjoy those this week. I'm having that after the podcast. I think that's got licorice in it. I love licorice tea. She mentioned licorice. And it was all wrapped up in, this is very appropriate because I've been doing some flower pressing. If you've seen anything that I put on Instagram, I think I might have only shared 1 or 2 pictures on Instagram, but I've been pressing my flowers out the garden. But she sent it all wrapped up in a beautiful piece of paper with hand-pressed flowers, with pressed flowers on. I think it's kind of, handmade paper that you can buy from craft shops. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to keep that because I think I'll be able to use it in something, definitely. So everything's just sort of being treasured at the moment in there while I think what I'm going to use those lovely little mini skeins for. So thank you very much, Laura. I really loved receiving the package and it's perfect for me, so that was really lovely. And I got something else in the post as well, which I think I will talk about in a minute, because I think I'm going to show you a whip first of all. So I'm also I'm in another CAL called the Be Kind CAL, which I think I've spoken about before, and it's being jointly hosted by several people on Ravelry. Antonella is one of them. The Wool Club is another, and that's where I think you could mainly join in the CAL in the Wool Club Ravelry group in their Be Kind thread, and you can find the other members that are hosting the CAL through that group. So it's to knit the Be Kind shawl by Vera Välimäki, and if you want to, you can knit the Bluebird of Happiness or Bird of Happiness, and there's some love hearts as well. So I'll see how far I get with the shawl. This CAL is running till, I believe, the middle of November, so 2 weeks into November. So we've got 6 weeks to go because it's this 2nd or 3rd of October today. So I'm quite pleased actually. And now that we've got the fire lit, I'm definitely going to get more work done on this because I'll just be sitting in front of the fire and knitting away on this while I'm watching the telly. So this is what I've got so far. I'm not sure if the light is going to let me show you this very well. So I'll just have to sort of move it around a bit and see if you can see it. Oh, actually, yes, that looks quite nice. There you go. So I've introduced the second colour. I was originally just going to knit the whole thing, well, most of it in this colour here, the Spice Plum. But I kind of had a bit of a brainwave and thought, I want a stripe, which turned into a wedge. But I love it. You see, my knitting's full of these happy accidents, which is really good. It's a good job, the happy accidents, really. So there's the first wedge that happened. I was thinking I was going to do a stripe all the way across, but because I started the stripe on the short rows, of course, I suddenly realised on the way back across that short row that it wasn't going to be a stripe. And then a few more rows in, sort of going backwards and forwards, I realised, oh, it's going to be a wedge. But that's brilliant, so I really like it. And it kind of adds to that sort of spiral look of the shawl. And I think, as you can see, I've done a second wedge here as well. That one starts a bit, whoops. I started that one off at the very beginning, of the short row, so it's going to be a really long splice all the way through. Oops. But it's definitely a wedge, so obviously, as you can see, it's going to be bigger at one end than it is at the other. It's quite hard to show you this. Oops. Oh, sorry, I'm making a bit of a mess of this. I love the colours. So it's Fibre Spates Vivacious 4-ply, that's the yarn, in Spiced Plum, which is this pinky one here, and Tweed Imps, which is this one. And it's brilliant. I love knitting with it. This has got blues, purples, sort of browny grey. It's mainly blues and purples, all different shades of it. It's really gorgeous. So it's one of those really fun yarns because you're just doing garter stitch backwards and forwards, which is actually very lovely to knit in front of the TV. It's really cool when all the different colours pop through. So there we are. There's a close-up for you. So that's my progress on the Be Kind shawl. It's a very, very big shawl, so I've got a lot to knit still, but I have got 6 weeks to knit it, so I'm hopeful that I can get this finished. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like as well. I have got another colour, and I'm debating in the Fibre Spates 4-ply, so I'm just debating whether I'm going to add that in or try to keep it just these two colours. But I think I'll see. I think I'll knit a bit more of it. I'm quite happy with the two colours for now. I'll knit on it a little bit more and see how it's turning out. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that and I'm really enjoying knitting it. I finally got the right gauge. There was a lot of hoo-ha. I knit it on the needles that were too small, and I knit quite a lot of it and realised I didn't like the gauge. So I frogged it and then pulled it all back and then knit it on the next size up. I thought that was okay until I'd knitted a few inches and then realised the gauge was too loose. So I pulled it back and I found a needle size in between, and finally that was the right gauge. So I'm really happy now with the fabric that it's producing. And I really wanted to get it right. I mean, it's a big shawl and it's a lot of knitting, so if you're not happy with the thing that you're producing, and you're not going to enjoy knitting it. So I'm really happy with it now. So I'm really loving knitting on that one. Right, I'm going to show you something else that I got in the post. This arrived yesterday and it's very exciting because a little bit of it, some of it is for me as a gift and some of it is for you. So a lovely lady called Vibeka, really hope I've said your name right, who contacted me on Ravelry. She's a member of the Lupin Bar group. And she's in Norway, and she asked me a little while ago if she could have my address and if I would mind her sending something from Norway. And she wanted to send something that I could give away as a prize in the Lupin Bar Ravelry group and on the podcast. And so I said, yes, please, that would be absolutely lovely. So a parcel arrived yesterday and I knew that she was planning on sending me something, but I didn't know when. So it was a really lovely surprise. I got home from work, I had a bit of a headache, had a bit of toothache, I'd been at work all day and it had been raining all day. And I got home and to find that the fire was on and a parcel was there waiting for me, and it was the most lovely parcel ever. It was just such a lovely surprise and really, really generous. And I've kept everything haven't eaten any of the lovely goodies yet because I want to show them on the podcast, but Avion's eyeing up the chocolate. But I'm going to show you it first before I break into that and share a bit with Avion. But the first thing she sent, and this is intended, oh no, I'll tell you what, I'll show you the things she sent for me first, and then I'll show you the things that are for you, or for somebody, lucky person who is going to win them. So I definitely knew that she was sending me the yarn to give away. And I knew what it looked like because she sent me a picture. So, and it looks absolutely beautiful, even look more lovely in real life. But what I didn't know is that she was going to send me some yarn for myself. So, Vibeke, thank you so much. I can't believe how generous you've been. And this is absolutely beautiful yarn. And I sent you a message on Ravelry earlier to say thank you and to tell you it was matching the jumper that I was wearing. Because it does. So total, what's the word? Quite random, but it does. It's sort of the same colour of one of my favourite jumpers. So it's a really beautiful yarn. Now, I'm just going to show you the label because I can't speak Norwegian and I don't know how to pronounce these words. But there's the label. And there's a lovely picture on the back actually as well. So this is all from Norway. She sent me the most lovely card. I'll just show you the front of that. It's got a really lovely illustration on as well. It's like a little watercolour sort of floral illustration. And she said all the yarns are Norwegian. So this is a Norwegian yarn. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just thinking, it would make a really gorgeous hat. And at my knit night, I go to, well, I kind of jointly run a knit and natter on a Thursday night at my local yarn shop with my friend Jonna. And one of the ladies there knit the most absolutely gorgeous hat. And I need to know, I think it was a Rowan hat. Was it a Rowan recipe? What's the word, pattern? I'll ask her next time I see her. Because I think I want that pattern. I'm going to have to get it because I think that this would look really gorgeous. Here's a close-up of the yarn and it's quite heathered. Do you call it heathered? There's 2 tones of blue in there. It's really beautiful. It's quite a rustic yarn and it's going to make a really lovely hat and it really, really will suit the pattern. I'm going to have to ask Joanne. I've said your name wrong, I know. Joan. It's not Joan and it's not Joanne. Joanne. What the pattern is, and maybe she'll bring it in for me because I think that will really look nice, knitted up into that hat pattern. So hopefully I can show you the pattern at least, maybe in the next podcast or maybe a couple of podcasts on, maybe even a cast on, who knows. It depends how far I get with my other whips, but that is definitely, I think, destined to become that beautiful hat. So I shall show you that again at a later date. So it's a really beautiful yarn. So I've been very lucky to be sent all these lovely things and could not believe it, but she also sent me some fabric and this is a gift for me to use. So, and it's Tilda fabric and again it's the most lovely blue. And it's really gorgeous and it just sort of reminds me of snowfall, like a little snow flurry. It's gorgeous. It's so lovely. So, I mean, I just want to make bags with everything at the moment and I can see that would make a really beautiful bag as well. But I'm going to think about it because maybe I could make something different out of this. There's quite a generous amount of it. That's folded. So I've got plenty of this beautiful fabric. I can't believe she sent me this. It's just so lovely. So I'm going to really think hard about what I want to make out of this fabric because it's so lovely and very, very special. Thank you so much, Vibeke. I really hope I'm saying your name right. I actually Googled how to pronounce your name. And you can click on the little thing in it and then somebody will say it. But of course I can't say it with the right accent. But anyway, I hope that is how you say your name. But thank you so much for this. These lovely gifts. They're so lovely. And they're all blue. Look, I'm all blue today. So I've got all that lovely stuff that's been sent to me. Oh, oh my gosh, right, here's the chocolate. We're going to eat some of this later. Again, I can't say this word, but there you go. It's a bit shiny because of the packet, but there's loads of chocolate in there. It's got nuts in it, so that's going to be delicious. And then this, I'm really intrigued, and the packaging is gorgeous. It's candy of some kind. In the card, Rebecca has said that this is candy. I'm thinking it might be sort of toffee. Actually, I should have smelt it, shouldn't I? Crackle, crinkle, sorry about that. It's, oh my gosh, it smells divine. It smells like caramel, so it's probably some sort of toffee caramel. Have I got that the right way around? No, sorry, I'm showing you it upside down. So if you can read Norwegian, you might know what that is. But it's just the most absolutely lovely packaging. That's so gorgeous, isn't it? So I'm going to try a little bit of that after the podcast as well, and try and make it last. Probably won't last very long actually, because I love sweets. And then the yarn that Rebecca has sent for the lovely viewers to have for me to have a giveaway, so you'll have the opportunity to win some of this yarn, is again a really lovely yarn from Norway, and I think it's called Raume. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I'll show you the label. But here is the beautiful yarn. She sent me 4 balls of this really gorgeous yarn. So obviously 2 in the green and 2 in this really beautiful sort of dusty heathery colour. It's kind of a pinky purple. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm wondering whether to have 2 prizes. Rebecca, if you've got a recommendation as to how I should do that, please let me know. But I think that would make... I think it would be nice to send the pair because they go so nicely together. So maybe 2 winners. If when I do another giveaway, I'll have 2 prizes. So it will be 2 pairs of this beautiful yarn. And here I'll just show you the label of one of them, so that in case you can speak Norwegian or read it. And again, I'm not going to try and pronounce it. I don't think I am. Finnulgarn. Maybe that's how you say it. Raume. Now, what's the content of it? Oh, well, it says 100% Norsk. I'll just show you the label. I'm not sure how well focused it'll be. Anyway, it's gorgeous. It's really lovely. It's slightly rustic. I think it would be really great for colour work. And I think these colours go really beautifully together. So these I'm going to keep really, really safe, and probably very soon, sometime in the near future, I'll have another giveaway on the Lupin Bar podcast. And it may be a subscribers giveaway, or it may be a little bit sooner, because I was planning on having if we reach 500 subscribers, I was planning to do another giveaway for that. We've just gone over 400, which is brilliant. So if we get to 500 in the next few weeks, which I think it will take longer than that, if we even get there, I'll do a giveaway for that. But I think in the meantime, I will give a little bit of thought to a little theme for a giveaway that we can do, especially for that beautiful yarn, because I really want to get that out to whoever's going to win it, and let other people, let somebody else have that lovely yarn. So thank you so much, Rebecca. That's really generous of you, really, really nice. And the first, I've never had anybody contact me and offer me a prize for a giveaway. like that, just out of the blue. So that was really, really exciting for the podcast as well, because you see other podcasters having things sent to them for giveaways. And so anyway, that was just, really, really lovely. So very exciting. I've got one more thing to show you, and it's nothing to do with knitting, it's to do with foraging. So if you have followed me on Pinterest, no, not Pinterest, Instagram. Did I put a picture of this actually? You might have seen that I've been doing a little bit of hedge foraging. So I've been collecting brambles, or blackberries as a lot of people call them, but I've also been collecting sloe gin. And in the last episode I showed you a really beautiful book called the Hedgerow Handbook, which I have left downstairs because I was using it. It tells you all about the different things that you can forage from the UK, the British hedgerows, and various different things that you can do with those berries or leaves or flowers or whatever it is that you've foraged. So of course we've got some sloe blackthorn bushes, so I picked some sloes, and my stepmum really loves sloe gin. So I wanted to do this last year, but by the time I went out to pick the sloes, they'd either all gone or just none grew that year. I wasn't sure which it was, but there weren't any to pick. But while I was out picking brambles this year, I noticed loads of sloes on the bushes. So I picked a nice big basket full of those, and I'm making some sloe gin using the recipe from the Hedgerow Handbook. So I just did this morning. So here it is. Oh, the label's gone a bit soggy. I'll just show you the back of it. And that's sugar in the bottom, so I've got to give it a good shake. But there's the sloes sitting in the gin. It's only been in there a couple of hours. I froze the sloes. The recipe recommended that you freeze them for a couple of days before putting them into the gin. It softens up the skins apparently. And then I've got to put this somewhere cool and dark, and then for about 3 months. So what is it now? October, November, December. Perfect. That's going to be ready for Christmas. And every so often I've got to take it out and give it a shake. So I probably will give it a really good shake to dissolve that sugar actually before I store it away. Presumably that's something I ought to have done first, but I'm quite excited about that. So that's my first kind of hedgerow foraging. It's one of my loop and bar labels I've put on there. But it's coming through. I've written sloe gin on it, but it's coming through. So that's one of my first kind of foraging, well, apart from making bramble pies, of course. Quite excited about that. And hopefully Babs will really enjoy some sloe gin at Christmas. Probably nearer the time I'll buy one of those lovely, what's that company called? Kilner, that make the lovely, well, I suppose that's like a Kilner jar, but you can buy bottles and all sorts of stuff. So, and then I'll probably make some really nice labels and label it all up, and hopefully give her a nice bottle of sloe gin for Christmas. So if that works out, that'd be good. So I think that's everything. Oh, I did want to just talk about one thing that I forgot to last time. You may or may not have noticed that for the past few podcasts I haven't done any show notes, podcast notes. That's because I'm just a bit lazy and I just don't really want to do them. There's no other reason. I've got time, I suppose. I could do it. That sounds really bad, because I constantly say, oh, I'll put it in the show notes. But I don't actually ever get round to doing them, and it feels a bit like a chore, I've got to say. And the podcast is something I really love doing, and I don't really want it to turn into a chore. And do you know what? Show notes is a bit like doing homework. If people want show notes, I will do them happily. But if you're not too bothered, I'm not going to do them. Let me know. I honestly don't mind doing them, even though I've just said that I kind of don't want to do them. If I know people use them and they're really useful, I definitely will do them. Absolutely. And it's really actually doesn't take very long. But I'm not very disciplined, and if people aren't too bothered, then I'm probably not going to do them. So please do let me know your thoughts on that. And what I tend to be doing is when I edit the podcast, I put things here. anyway. So I'm hoping that that's enough information. And also, I think what I'll just say is, if there's anything that I've talked about in the podcast that you would like more information about, if you want a link to something, if you want to be reminded of where I got something from, or a brand of yarn or a pattern, then just come to the Ravelry group and ask me, or private message me on Ravelry. No, I think what I'll do is I'll post the video of the podcast itself into Ravelry in the podcast thread. So there might not necessarily be show notes, but the podcast will be in there, and you can just ask me a question underneath the relevant podcast, or in that thread. So I'll call it yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'll have a podcast thread. All of the podcasts will go into that one thread, as in a link to the video of the podcast, and then just come along to there and ask me, tell me which episode it was, or just ask me anything that you want to know. And if you do want show notes, if anybody out there finds them really useful, even if it's just one of you that goes to the show notes every week and looks, please let me know, because I don't want anyone to miss out on information if you find it useful. And I do want to do the show notes if people are using them. But if people aren't using them, then yeah, that would be nice not to do them. But as you know, I'm very chatty, and hopefully, hopefully people won't mind approaching me and asking me anything they want to about anything that they've seen in the podcast. So, and just while we're talking about the Ravelry group, I haven't talked about the CAL, the Cozy Autumn Along, but that's going along very nicely. We've had a couple of new people join in the last week or so. That's brilliant. We're only halfway through. We've got another month to go, the rest of October. We've got some really brilliant projects. We've got a few FOs already, some super duper knitters who are whizzing out projects left, right and centre. It's so friendly. There's so much chat going on. I looked before I started the podcast, and I think that since the last time I went on in there, which I think was only yesterday, I think there's been 75 more chat box things, entries, if you know what I mean, chatting, 75 more chats. So what I'm going to do is probably just skim through them a bit later on and try and catch up a little bit with it. It's impossible to read all of them, I think. I tried to skim through them and chime in here and there. But it's a very fast-paced and very chatty and very friendly group. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joining in with that. And also, if you want to join in on Antonella's group in the Antonella Makes podcast. Oh, Charlie's having a little stretch. Oh, Charlie, come on then. Do you want to say hello? Hello, darling. Hello. Oh, sorry, she's saying hello to me, but you can't see her. There she is. Charlie, say hello. Yeah, you can't really see her. The light's not very good. You're just having a little sleep. Yes, you're just having a little doggy stretch. Good girl. All right then. Where are you going to go now? Oh, actually, I've got something down here that I've forgotten to show you. So I'll just show you that. I'll put it in my hand now while I just finish talking about Ravelry, and then I'll show you this. Favourite object from around my house. I'd be so gutted if I forgot to show you that. The light's coming in through the window as well, which is really lovely. What was I saying? Got distracted by the dog. Ravelry. Fabulous, fabulous members of my Ravelry group are so chatty and friendly, and I want to say thank you to all of them. And also, you can join in with the Cozy Autumn Along on Antonella's Ravelry group, and some of the same people are over there, and some different new people are over there as well. And that's also a very friendly and very chatty group too. So that's on the Antonella Makes podcast Ravelry group for the Cozy Autumn Along CAL. I've got a couple of new threads in the Loop and Bar Ravelry group, so if you want to check them out. One particular one I wanted to mention was knitting help. I've opened up a thread, and if anybody has got any questions or wants some support about when knitting is something new, if you want to attempt something that you've not done before and you're a bit nervous and maybe you want someone to kind of guide you through it, or you want a pattern recommendation, or you're stuck on a pattern, you don't know what something means. I am not a knitting expert by any means, but I've knitted a fair bit and I'm quite good at finding out answers to things. So I will definitely help you wherever I can. And we've got 90 something, over 90 members in the Ravelry group. So I'm hoping that people will keep a little eye on the Knitting Help thread. Maybe pop in there every so often and see if anybody wants your help. And hopefully you might be able to help somebody who's stuck with something. So I just wanted to mention that because we're such a friendly group that I'd like to think that we can encourage people to get over knitting barriers. You know, if they're stuck on anything, we can sort of help them through it and give them some confidence to knit something that maybe they didn't think that they could knit, or would be too scared to do by themselves as such, or maybe they just need a bit of help with something. So if you are watching the podcast and you are in the Loop and Bar Ravelry group, please keep a little eye on the Knitting Help thread. I would be really grateful. And we've already had quite a lot of interaction in that thread as well, so I want to say a really big thank you so far to the people who have made some contributions in that thread. That's very, very brilliant and very friendly and helpful of everybody, so thank you very much. This is one of the favourite objects from around my house that I nearly just forgot to show you. Avion made this when he was at school. This is a very, very treasured item. It's a milking stool. So he made it in his CDT class, so probably when he was about 14 years old. And the picture on the front was painted by one of his classmates, who would have been obviously the same age, who I don't know if he now is a working artist. His brother certainly is a very what's the word? He's a working artist. His brother is called Bedwyr Williams, and if you Google him, I'm not actually very familiar with his work, but he's quite a what's the word? Anyway, he's an artist. He's a Welsh artist. But this was done by his younger brother, Llyr, and it's signed by him. So I don't know if Llyr is an artist nowadays or not, but he totally should be, because he painted this when he was 14, and it's so appropriate because obviously it's a dairy cow. So here's the stool, so made by Avion in his DT class. It's really heavy and solid. And this is the beautiful painting that's on the front. Can you believe that a 14-year-old painted this? It's like, oh, it's so accomplished, it's just so beautiful. I don't know how well it's showing up, but I just love it. And if I could have that framed on the wall, I would. I think I'd like to get a painting of one of our dairy cows. Perhaps maybe Anna would do it. Anna, would you paint one of our dairy cows for us? Anna's my sister and she's a really good artist as well, so I would love something like this on my wall, but having this on the milking stool is just brilliant. So I just wanted to share that as one of my favourite objects from around the house, because it's really precious and it's just unbelievable craftsmanship really for such a young person to have painted that, and of course for Avion to have made the stool as well, which I'm very proud of him for. The only thing I really use it for is sometimes I put my feet on it, but I don't let anybody put drinks or food or anything like that on it, and I don't particularly like anybody putting anything on it really, because you can't see the picture and then of course it might get damaged as well. So basically this is a very decorative item in my house. I don't mind the kids sitting on it, but well, I kind of, maybe I do a little bit. No, I don't mind them sitting on it as long as they don't damage it. You can't replace that, can you? There's no way that you could ever replace that if it got damaged. So it's very precious, and it's one of my favourite things that we have in our house. So, and I think that is everything that I want to talk about. My mouth is feeling better because I put my gel on, so that's good. It's got me through the podcast. Thank you, Bonjella. You are brilliant. And I will be finishing that lovely bag, so I'll be able to show you that as a finished object for next week. And if you're in the Cozy Autumn Along, I will see you over in the Ravelry group in the thread very shortly. And to everybody else, have a very, very lovely week. Well, and if you're in the Cozy Autumn along as well, you can have a lovely week too. I wish you all a very lovely week, and I shall be back hopefully I'll be back at the end of next weekend, hopefully with a shop announcement. Fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. So I'll see you in the next week, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.